A Happiness Guide 3. Chapter 1. A Happiness Guide 1. I have to release my energy. A noble, great spiritual aesthetic life is a life where you feel full of infinite possibilities and live it out. It's hard to stay inspired all the time. You have to discover your true nature, then make a pact with yourself that your life will be nothing more than honoring who you were born to be by nature by releasing that inspired aesthetic spiritual loving energy every day with gusto and passion for the process. But there will be tragedies and hard times. People and pets you love will die. Some will get sick. You will get sick or injured. There might be other hardships like money problems, relationship problems, having a child with a disability, having a child rebel against you, etc. I've gone through some of these trials where I felt like I was dead man walking. Despite how strong, vital, and inspired I was for many years, I felt like all of it meant nothing because all you ever have is one moment in time, right now. All the great energy you might have had in the past doesn't mean anything anymore. I lived a fun, easy life until some tragedies hit. Then I felt shell-shocked, like all of a sudden I realized that life is hard for a lot of people. Millions of people have disabilities, problems, or they're just old, tired, worn out and limited in scope. I eventually had to realize this is my life. I have to keep moving, trying to create joy, a sense of peace and righteousness, otherwise I would feel like death with a deep emptiness inside of me. If you can do something to help others or show gratitude for them being kind to you when you're down, that's good. You can fill the emptiness by being a light to people who need you more than you need your self-pity. The human race exists on a continuum between good and evil. You have to believe that the good side will win out and we will live in a better world. I created the idea of true democracy because I believe we have to get rid of elected politicians to make decisions ourselves over the internet. I think politicians and the elitist shadow governments run our societies and squander the money that can be used to help people live better lives. A great, noble spirit has to get over everything because in the end it's all you got, just your pact with God to honor the spirit He created you to be. You must keep moving with it with love for yourself and love for humanity. If you don't, you become a wreck of humanity and it's your fault for withering away, sitting around wasting your life, eating junk, watching useless stuff on TV among the other meaningless pursuits, which is how most lost souls end up living empty lives. There has to be something you do out of love for life. It doesn't matter what it is. You must release your natural energy with the sense that you're honoring your Creator in a way that you are making Him proud of you through what you do day after day. If you don't live like this, your life is really nowhere, regardless of what illusions and delusions you live under, like all them frivolous hotshots I see around, thinking they're trendy and cool. It doesn't matter. Your only accountability is to your soul, the divine spirit your God endowed you with. Live by it and you're fine. Don't live by it, your life is a mess. I know a guy who won several $1 million in a lottery. His life is nowhere. He sleeps half the day. He's about 25 pounds overweight, he drinks a lot of alcohol and he has no drive except to go fishing. I don't say anything about what I think. I know him because we've been superficial friends since we were kids. He never entertains a thought of doing something with passion or intensity. That's why he's a lost soul. His money will never give him a strong, solid, inner feeling. Lots of young people have the arrogance of youth, thinking they are powerful and unstoppable, but see them at middle age. That's the real test. What do you do when you're not the cock of the walk anymore? How do beautiful women live when men don't look at them anymore with a sense of attraction? How do men live when they know they ain't the toughest guy in the room anymore? Be the kindest and the wisest. I have a lot of energy. I can't stay still. If I do, I start to feel like I'm withering away. I don't want to repeat myself writing the same thing over and over. I wrote this stuff out over the years whenever I felt inspired. I felt I should put it out there because it can have some positive value to someone. The only rule of life is to release most of the natural energy anyone feels inside of themselves with love for the process, doing some hedonistic things but also doing things to help others and the planet in some way. This is how you get to feel good, by doing things that connect you with the God-given power inside of you and with life around you, mainly people and pets, but also by connecting with being alive itself. Like when I'm out in nature, I get those good feelings that I'm thankful for being here, reasonably healthy, free, living a pretty good life. I used to be young, strong, and vital, but now as I age, I realize I'm just an ordinary mortal guy with a deteriorating body. Everybody has a sense of existential loneliness that nobody wants to talk about. Why is Citizen Kane still considered the greatest movie of all time? It's because the kid who became a big-shot tycoon wants only one thing: to desperately feel that unconditional pure motherly love that he had as a kid. I believe this craving for love is inside all of us. We bury it away. We grow up. Our mothers get sick and die. Some of us find a great soulmate. Most of us don't. We find an average love, but I talk about that in my love book, not here. Everybody has cynical moments and dark nights of the soul. At the end, you realize you have only two choices: keep trying to be a part of life or wither away. That's why all anyone owns is spirit. You either accept the spirit God gave you and pledge to do something good with it continuously until you die, or you got nothing really. Everybody stands alone. At any moment, can you be inspired, keep going strong? Is there a nobility inside of you that makes you worthy of your Creator? You intuitively know. Dying is a part of living. Death is painful. Accept aging and death among your intimates and face it bravely when it happens to you. Nobody can say for sure whether there is an afterlife, but I'll still be noble about this life. I won't feel sorry for myself when I age. I'll accept it and do the best with whatever I have. That's all anyone can do. Everyone will die. If you die of old age, you beat the odds. Many people don't make it that far. The best way anyone can possibly live one. The biggest problem with human beings is not lack of money or love. You're like a bird with a broken wing. You have a song but do not sing. The best way anyone can possibly live is by their own natural purity, by your own true nature, but most of us can't because we have to live in the capitalist world to earn money to pay our bills, which saps our natural free spirits until we end up shells of the natural inspired kids we were at one time. We sell our souls to the artificial values of the system. You're not doing what you want to do because you lack courage. You're probably working a crappy job for the money or being a lazy couch potato, not doing much of anything besides watching a screen, eating junk food, or doing frivolous stuff. Our model for helping people with personal problems is to get students to study psychology at college and tell them they have a system for understanding human behavior where they put people into categories, give them drugs, and probe their pasts in endless therapy sessions. These college students then become our experts to supposedly help people. Psychology and mental health are capitalist industries geared for profit and growth. Their ultimate big idea is to fool people into thinking they have a mental illness and need their services. Plenty of wimps line up because they do not want to take responsibility for their lives the way their God created them to be, living their lives freely away from everyone else's lies. This is the brainwashed elitism we live under. Most of us are sheep buying into this fraud. I got no problem with the early guys who wrote essays off the tops of their heads trying to help people, like Benjamin Franklin with his 13 virtues, which are: 1. Temperance. 2. Silence. 3. Order. 4. Resolution. 5. Frugality. 6. Industry. 7. Sincerity. 8. Justice. 9. Moderation. 10. Cleanliness. 11. Tranquility. 12. Chastity. 13. Humility. You can go on YouTube and listen to one of the first self-help books from 1905. The Science of Getting Rich audiobook by Wallace D. Wattles. Add Dante Alighieri's 7 Deadly Sins from the Divine Comedy and you pretty well got all the common sense you need. Pride. Lust. Gluttony. Greed. Sloth/laziness. Anger. Jealousy. All the wisdom you need is in our biblical books of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, but people think they're old. All the crap written since then about life still does not hold a candle next to the wisdom in these two books, except for my insight, which is that I'm a loner with a true nature. Screw the world with its bullshit. I have to earn a living but won't sell my soul to any bullshit in the world. Our idiots had to make a science out of life and created businesses in all the social science departments in all the 9,600 four-year colleges and universities in the world. They say whatever any individual thinks is irrelevant. You have to be able to measure it, so now the APA, American Psychological Association, has got 56 subcategories and there are at least 1,000 psychology academic journals in existence, and it's all 100% bullshit because nobody knows what's going on in the mind of another human being, and nobody should be so arrogant as to think they do unless somebody comes to you looking for help. Then talk one-on-one as a loving friend, not a phony clinical or educational psychologist trying to put them into some category you learned from some BS place. Don't use their bullshit theories because they're meaningless. Don't use their categories in the DSM, Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, because they are no real mental illnesses. Whatever problem any individual has is their own unique problem in the unique situation they're living in. Having a group of several one-size-fits-all mental illnesses is the supermarket approach to helping someone with a generic formula. A true helper tries to understand his friend and offers thoughtful ideas and advice. A lot of people line up to be diagnosed with a fictitious mental illness because they're wimps. They do not want to face themselves head on. The best way anyone can possibly live to life is right now. That's it. You create yourself by the way you live right now. It's always the same thing. You're either inspired, active and happy, mundane and average, scared and negative. Before I majored in psychology at college, I was a brainwashed boob like most people, thinking that people with titles like psychiatrist, psychologist, psychotherapist, etc. had some advanced, authoritative, scientific insight into human life. I studied the whole thing and saw they had three big unrelated theories. Psychoanalysis, your past determines you now. Behaviorism, you're an empty slate living by the rewards and punishments of your environment. Humanism, flowery bullshit about being a noble human being trying to reach your potential. I don't give a crap about my past. I don't give a crap about my environment/society except to earn enough money to do my own thing. Where are the noble human beings? Many people are slobs addicted to something, be it food, porn, or drugs and alcohol. Many people work mundane jobs then chase them away with as many frivolous pursuits as possible. Watching TV is still king, although video games come a close second. I realized that this social science stuff is a load of crap with a bunch of unrelated one-liner advice and no simple big insight into life. I discovered my simple big insight into life on my own. I first unloaded all my early brainwashing into thinking that people called life experts, psychologists, psychiatrists, etc. had authoritative knowledge in life. I was brought up on old science fiction horror movies which routinely used psychiatrists as characters, like Spellbound, 1945, and Marcus Welby MD, a 1960s TV show where Dr. Welby recommended some of his patients go see a psychiatrist or a psychologist. This use of these experts implanted an idea into me as a kid that any boob called a psychiatrist or psychologist had some advanced insight into human life, but as an adult I realized all that anyone does who studies this stuff is take a bunch of unrelated courses that all together amount to no true insight into life. It's just a bunch of meaningless unrelated junk, but they can't admit it to themselves because to do this would make them admit they're living a lie, deny them of their cash cow and the status that goes along with the job titles of psychiatrist and psychologist. It's one of the massive lies of the modern world. Most people buy into the lie that there is a science of human behavior called psychology, or the entire social sciences for that matter, that has insight into life. Their power is the same as the power that a witch doctor, a shaman, a pharaoh, or a sorcerer had in the past, the same power that the Wizard of Oz had, an illusion that they have some kind of mystical, divine advanced knowledge and are smarter than everyone else. Most people do not bother to study all this stuff like I did. Most people are massively brainwashed by this idea that the fields of psychology and psychiatry are legitimate fields of advanced knowledge about life. Anyone who calls themselves a psychologist or psychiatrist and pretends to know deep, advanced stuff about life is a liar and a scam artist. Every individual is a loner with their own reality. Most people get brainwashed by the world and follow its artificial values to some extent. The only enlightened people realize they have a true nature given by God at birth. Their only purpose in life is to know this true nature, then have the courage to live by it by releasing the natural energy they feel within themselves most days when they get up, barring a few rest days here and there. Beyond that, no one knows what anyone else is thinking, and no one will until we evolve to telepathy. So stop being a busybody trying to figure other people out, trying to know what they're thinking. If you think you know and press them on it, most will never admit to anything because they got egos. Everybody is protecting themselves. Some are playing one-upmanship games with others, but no one will ever admit to it, so I don't try to analyze people. I just try to be straight, polite, and friendly and leave it at that. That's it. Many people have studied ancient history, the paranormal and religion looking for the answers to the deepest questions of life. At the end of the day, we got several thousand people who claim to have had near-death experiences, we got some people who claim to have been possessed by demons and were exorcised, and we got some strange events that could have been faked or true. I saw a video of scratches appearing on a guy's body in real time claiming he was possessed. Many of us want a supernatural afterlife, but all I know for sure is to live bravely and die bravely. According to the Penn and Teller Showtime TV show bullshit, Gandhi and Mother Teresa were selfish fakes. The Dalai Lama presents himself as a smiling, happy guy, but within the Buddhist culture, monks are the elitists at the top, living lives of luxury while everyone else worship them and gives them money. You can't righteously put people into categories, but the psychobabble industry does, and most people buy into it because they're brainwashed wimp victims. Many people want to be diagnosed with a mental illness to take the responsibility for their lives away from themselves and blame it on some fake idea that's beyond their control. We can't admit that anyone who analyzes their life and concludes I have a true nature that I will live by is more enlightened than anything any human being has ever created about life in all those social science courses at college. We can't admit that a self-aware person who has compassion for others is a much better counselor than any boob with a bunch of degrees who pretends to be wise and hides behind a bunch of meaningless psychobabble, then diagnoses drugs to boot, not to mention that they often implant false memories and ideas by trying to string a patient along for many therapy sessions to make money, probing their past, which means nothing. All that means anything is your state of being right now, either naturally inspired, following the world's artificial values, couch potato. There are no great theories of life that are going to make someone happy forever. Everything is momentary. You're either inspired, know how to live an inspired life and do it, or you're mundane. The best you can do in life is know you're a loner soul just like everyone else, a loner with your own essence known to no one but you. You will never know another human being on a profound intimate level, so don't be nosy. Don't pry. Don't overestimate romantic love. It's a temporary spray of hormones that dies down. If you want true unconditional love, love animals, or love God, some supernatural character that is always available in your imagination. Know your soul, true nature, or essence and live by it. Do that by striving to release your natural energy almost every day, barring rest days, to match an inner standard you should feel given by your Creator at birth that tells what you should do and need to do. Follow this inner voice to be the natural you. Try not to live by the artificial values of the capitalist pop culture psychobabble matrix with the system imposing its ideas on you. You have to earn money to pay your way, but beyond that, you don't have to buy into the government as some force over you, the lies they teach in school, the news, the ideas of coolness, fashion, social norms, or psychobabble. The worst you can do is to waste your life on meaningless stuff like sitting around watching frivolous stuff on a screen, trying to be cool or get attention from other people, living for your ego, how you think others see you, being addicted to some negative stuff like drugs, alcohol, food, home decor, etc. If you want to help someone, the best you can do is to help them one by trying to be a true friend, not putting them into some fraudulent category created by the system, then giving them mental health drugs. Almost all problems of the mind are problems of the spirit. Chapter 2. A Happiness Guide 2. Be happy with almost nothing. If a get-rich-quick schemes really worked, the owner would try to maximize it by owning the entire market for himself. Real estate can work if you get good tenants, but bad tenants can destroy you. No matter how much hype you see on CNBC, Bloomberg, etc. every day, the stock market is always going to crash big. They call it a correction. I've seen millions of people lose over 50% in the stock market in one fell swoop several times over 30 years. It's a big scam on everybody except for the few insiders at the top who all do insider trading. I want to feel good health-wise and aesthetically, spiritually, doing what I want within reason. I don't have sex with any female I want like Jeffrey Epstein did. I don't need drugs or alcohol. I don't own much. I can understand a guy with several kids who has to support them constantly trying to make money, but you really don't need much. The most valuable thing I own is the free time to do what I want. Active kids doing what they want are generally happy. I'm definitely against helicopter parenting, which is signing up your kid for everything, trying to make him or her a star, trying to get them to develop productive habits at a young age. It's not natural. Many rebel to a regimented childhood by becoming hippies. Motivating children should be easy. Help them discover what they're interested in, then push the education to that direction. We played ground hockey all the time in the schoolyard. We had a summer camp where we swam, boated, hiked, built forts, etc. My father brought us around to his friends who played music. Because of that, I played trumpet for about 10 years. He didn't force me. He just showed me the guy playing a trumpet. I liked it, so I learned it. Take your kids to the library. It's free. For me, school was naturally interesting. They said I was gifted, but for me, it was natural to want to learn new things. Look at hashtag 155-158 at the library for psychobabble, motivational type books. Happiness according to World Happiness Report. They supposedly rank the happiest countries, which are mostly cold, European Scandinavian countries. Canada was in the top 10 for the year I looked at. I find this weird. I was brought up in Canada and live there now because I'm not rich, but I spent about 20 years living in warm places. Why would anybody willingly live in a refrigerator for half a year when there are warm places everywhere? Happiness is a relative term. People seem depressed around Halifax, where I live, all winter long. You cannot feel happy in cold weather. The happiness report talks about the marvels of digital technology adding to happiness, but then says tech addiction is bad. They say Denmark has a sense of community. What's that? We don't have a unified culture here. We have immigrants from all over the world, each with their own tribe. They call it diversity. There is no sense of community when you have hundreds of groups all clamoring for rights, hating the majority group while pretending not to. Chapter 3. Lecture, Happiness from Marriage, Womanhood, and Happiness, by Reverend George Sumner Weaver, 1856. Happiness desired, fretful people, motes in the eye, we were made for happiness, sorrow has useful lessons, happiness a duty, despondency is irreligious, pleasure not always happiness, the misuse of the world, contentment necessary to happiness, happiness must be sought aright, truly seeking we shall find, our success not always essential, happiness often found unexpectedly, happiness overcomes circumstances, a tendency to murmuring, God rules over all, health necessary to happiness, disease is sinful, God loves a happy soul, happiness possible to all. It is commonly believed that men are happy or unhappy according to circumstances. But this may well be questioned, for multitudes are intensely miserable under circumstances highly favorable to happiness. The highborn, the wealthy, the distinguished, and even the good, are often unhappy. Many very excellent persons, whose lives are honorable and whose characters are noble, pass numberless hours of sadness and weariness of heart. The fault is not with their circumstances, nor yet with their general characters, but with themselves, that they are miserable. They have failed to adopt the true philosophy of life. They wait for happiness to come instead of going to work and making it, and while they wait they torment themselves with borrowed troubles, with fears, forebodings, morbid fancies, and moody spirits, till they are all unfit for happiness under any circumstances. Sometimes they cherish unchanged ambition, covet some fancies or real good which they do not deserve and could not enjoy if it were theirs, wealth they have not earned, honors they have not won, attentions they have not merited, love which their selfishness only craves. Sometimes they undervalue the good they do possess, throw away the pearls in hand for some beyond their reach and often less valuable, trample the flowers about them under their feet, long for some never seen, but only heard or read of, and forget present duties and joys in future and far-off visions. Sometimes they shade the present with every cloud of the past, and although surrounded by 1,000 inviting duties and pleasures, revel in sad memories with a kind of morbid relish for the stimulus of their miseries. Sometimes, forgetting the past and present, they live in the future, not in its probable realities, but in its most improbable visions and unreal creations, now of good and then of evil, wholly unfitting their minds for real life and enjoyments. These morbid and improper states of mind are too prevalent among young women. They excite that nervous irritability which is so productive of pining regrets and fretful complaints. They make that large class of fretters who enjoy no peace themselves, nor permit others to about them. In the domestic circle they fret their life away. Everything goes wrong with them because they make it so. The smallest annoyances chafe them as though they were unbearable aggravations. Their business and duties trouble them as though such things were not good. Pleasure they never seem to know because they never get ready to enjoy it. Even the common movements of Providence are all wrong with them. The weather is never as it should be. The seasons roll on badly. The sun is never properly tempered. The climate is always charged with a multitude of vices. The winds are everlastingly perverse, either too high or too low, blowing dust in everybody's face, or not fanning them as they should. The earth is ever out of humor, too dry or too wet, too muddy or dusty. And the people are just about like it. Something is wrong all the time, and the wrong is always just about them. Their home is the worst of anybody's, their street and their neighborhood is the most unpleasant to be found. Nobody else has so bad servants and so many annoyances as they. Their lot is harder than falls to common mortals, they have to work harder and always did, have less and always expect to. They have seen more trouble than other folks know anything about. They are never so well as their neighbors, and they always charge all their unhappiness upon those nearest connected with them, never dreaming that they are themselves the authors of it all. Such people are to be pitied. Of all the people in the world they deserve most our compassion. They are good people in many respects, very benevolent, very conscientious, very pious, but, withal, very annoying to themselves and others. As a general rule, their goodness makes them more difficult to cure of their evil. They cannot be led to see that they are at fault. Knowing their virtues they cannot see their faults. They do not perhaps overestimate their virtues, but fail to see what they lack, and what they lack they charge upon others, often upon those who love them best. They see others' actions through the shadow of their own fretful and gloomy spirits. Hence it is that they see their own faults as existing in those about them, as a defect in the eye produces the appearance of a corresponding defect in every object toward which it is turned. This defect in character is more generally the result of vicious or improper habits of mind, than any constitutional idiosyncrasy. It is the result of the indulgence of gloomy thoughts, morbid fancies, inordinate ambition, habitual melancholy, a complaining, fault-finding disposition. It is generally early acquired, not in childhood, but in youth. Childhood is too buoyant, fresh, and free for such indulgences. Early youth, when its passions are developing, when the soul's bubbling springs are opening fresh and warm, when young hopes put out, to be blighted with a shade, young loves come to be disappointed with a frown, young desires aspire to be saddened with the first failure, is the season when the seeds of disquiet and unhappiness are sown in the soul. And in the most gifted and sensitive souls these seeds are oftenest sown. Those of highly poetic temperaments, of delicate and almost divine psychology, in whom some little constitutional unbalance existed at the beginning of life and whose judgments developed slower than their passions, are often those who drink the bitterest waters of life. Beautiful souls, sitting in the shadow of self-gathered clouds. We pity and love them. We never see one without longing to bless it. Oh, could they but know how unbecoming such powers and virtues are, such gloominess and disquiet, they would rouse themselves to the glories of a morning life, and, shaking the dews of the night from their wings, would soar aloft in the sunshine of wisdom and love. Having tasted the bitter waters of sorrow, they may appreciate, perhaps all the better, the sweet nectar of life which ought to flow from all our states of mind and outward actions. We were not made for sorrow, but for joy. Our souls were not so delicately wrought to be wasted in fear and melancholy. Our minds were not so gifted to spend themselves on clouds and in darkness. Our hearts were not so firmly strung to wail notes of grief and woe. This beautiful world, so ever fresh and new about us, was not designed to imprison self-convicted souls away from its sunshine and flowers. The bending heavens arching so grandly over us, so studded with sparkling joy lights and animated with the eternal cotillion of the skies, invites to no such irreverent repining. Creation's wide field of animated existence inspires no such moodiness and fretfulness of spirit. It is all wrong, it is absolutely sinful. We have no moral right to make ourselves or others so unhappy. We were made for happiness as well as holiness. All life's duties and experiences, when properly understood, are the steps that lead to the temple of eternal good. Disappointments and crosses may come, but let them come, they bring their lessons of wisdom. Failures may crush our hopes and stop us on life's way, but we may gather up and go on again rejoicing in what we have learned. Toils may demand our time and energies, let us give them, labor creates strength and imparts knowledge. Others may use our earnings and require our care and support, let it be so, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Our friends may die and leave our hearts and homes desolate for a time, we cannot prevent it, nor would it be best if we could. Sorrow has its useful lessons when it is legitimate, and death is the gate that opens out of earth toward the house eternal in the heavens. If we lose them, heaven gains them. If we mourn, they rejoice. If we hang our harps on the willows, they tune theirs in the eternal orchestra above, rejoicing that we shall soon be with them. Shall we not drown our sorrow in the flood of light let through the rent veil of the skies which Jesus entered, and, to cure our loneliness, gather to us other friends to walk life's way, knowing that every step brings us nearer the departed and their sweet, eternal home, which death never enters and where partings are never known. We may still love the departed. They are ours as ever and we are theirs. The ties that unite us are not broken. They are too strong for death's stroke. They are made for the joys of eternal friendship. Other friendships on earth will not disturb these bonds that link with dear ones on high. Nor will our duties below interfere with the sacredness of our relations with them. They wish not to see us in sorrow. They doubtless sympathize with us, and could we hear their sweet voices, they would tell us to dry our tears and bind ourselves to other friends and joyfully perform all duties on earth till our time to ascend shall come. Every lesson of life, wisely read, tells us that we should be happy, that we should seek to be happy from principle, not simply from impulse, that we should make happiness a great object in life, that our duties, our varied relations to our fellows as friends, as lovers, as companions, as parents, as children, our avocations, our labors, sacrifices, hopes, trials, struggles, should administer to our happiness. And it is our business to see that they do. Is it a duty to be good? It is just as much a duty to be happy, to train our minds to pleasant moods and our hearts to cheerful feelings. There is no duty more sanctioned by every moral obligation than the duty to be happy. We have no moral right to make others miserable, or to permit them to remain so when we can help it. No more right have we to torment our own souls, or to permit habitual sadness and despondency to weigh down our spirits. It is well for every young person to seek true moral light upon this subject, and especially for young women, for their peculiarly sensitive and affectionate nature, their confined habits and employments, their cares multiplying as they grow older and their body-wearying and soul-trying experiences and labors demand the very best philosophy and religion of life, and more so as the men with whom their lots will be likely to be cast appreciate so little the trials and experiences of woman's life. They ought to start out resolutely determined to be happy, to seek the good of everything. This should be the first precept in their moral mode, the first article in their creed, the first resolution demanded by their religion. We have no confidence in a gloomy religion. Human souls were never made to do penance, to lacerate and torment themselves in worship or duty. Every truth in the theology of the Bible beams with a glory that ought to illuminate our minds with a light almost divine. Every principle of the glorious gospel of the blessed God is benignant and smiling with the love of the Father and ought to animate our souls with the joy of a steady blessedness. Every duty demanded by the Christian religion is but the requirement of perfect love and should quicken our consciences to the most lively satisfaction. To be desponding and gloomy is indeed irreligious. Hearty joy is the fruit of religion. Swelling gladness is the praise note of the truly Christian spirit. There are no possessions like religious possessions to fill the soul with true enjoyment. And what are they? They are, first, a mind in harmony with the works and ways of God, which sees the Father in the daily movements of the spheres and the providential arrangements of the world, in the blossoming life of spring and the withered death of winter, in the dear relations of domestic life and the more showy fraternities of nations, in birth and life and death, in every provision for happiness found in the wide range of the physical and spiritual universe. Secondly, a conscience void of offense toward God and man, in love with right, bound to righteous principle in a wedlock that knows no breaking, devout, honest, kind, because it is right and godlike so to be, which rules the mind and life with a gentle but powerful sway, leading where angels walk in every pure and honest word and work. And thirdly, a heart swelling with love to God and man, an earnest, warm, good-willing heart, lighting its face with sunshine and softening its hand with tenderness, a heart that can melt in others' woes and glow in others' joys. Pure and chaste, subdued and calm. Such a mind, such a conscience, such a heart afford true religious enjoyments. The more one has of such possessions, the happier he must be. With such a mind, the true philosophy of life is clear. It is that we were made to be happy in righteousness and truth and should bend all our energies to guard our hearts from every fretful and desponding feeling and make every experience in life bless and make us happy. Oh, young woman! Set your heart on happiness, not on pleasure that floats on the surface of life, but on that inward peace that dwells in the soul devoted to all good. The things about us are designed to administer to our happiness and we should underscore them for this purpose. The world we live in is for our use. Food, raiment, money, wealth are for use. They are adapted to good ends in life. They help us to comfort, convenience, beauty and knowledge. Wisely used, they serve us well, but abused, they sting us with many poisoned darts. The most of us make ourselves miserable by a misuse of the world. We fret our souls well nigh to death about dress, food, houses, lands, goods, wealth. We live for these things, as though serving them could give us happiness. We are ambitious of gains and gold, as though these could answer the soul's great wants, as though these could think and love, admire and worship. We chase the elusive glitter of fashion as though it was a crown of glory and could impart dignity and peace to its wearer. We hunt after pleasure as though it could be found by searching. Pleasure comes of itself. It must never be wooed. She is a coy maid and ever eludes her flattering followers. She will come and abide with us when we use wisely the world and its good things. But we must put things to their true use, else pleasure will keep away. Oh, how much might we enjoy life if we would put things to their true use. When the sun shines, we must love it and think of its treasures of wealth to the world. When the cloud rises, we must admire its somber glory, for it is big with blessings. The morning must be accepted as a rosy blessing, the evening as a quiet prelude to repose, the day as an opportunity for achievements worthy of us, and the night for refreshing rest and recruit. Our friends we must prize and appreciate while we are with them. It is a shame not to know how much we love our friends and how good they are till they die. We must seize with joy all our opportunities, our duties we must perform with pleasure, our sacrifices we must make cheerfully, knowing that he who sacrifices most is noblest. We must forgive with an understanding of the glory of forgiveness and use the blessings we have, realizing how great are small blessings when properly accepted. I have known men sit to a table comfortably spread with wholesome food and make themselves and all with them miserable because it lacks something their pampered palate craved. A true man will enjoy a crust of bread, and if he has nothing more, count it a godsend that may save his life. I have seen women embroil a comfortable home with constant disquiet because it was not so grand as their vanity desired, and others never tire in their complaints against a very good house because it was destitute of a convenience or two that some other house had. I have seen young women completely miserable because some article of dress did not harmonize with the last fashioned plate, or some of their surroundings were not quite so beautiful or agreeable as those of some wealthier friend. Forgetting to use what they had to administer to their happiness, they tormented their souls because they had not something else. All these repinings and complaints come from unchanged spirits. Wisdom dwells not in such souls. The little we have we should enjoy, and if we need or wish more we should labor cheerfully to obtain it and rejoice in our labor and hope. We should seek to draw happiness from every little incident in life, from everything we have and everything by which we are surrounded. This is the secret of much happiness. I believe all desire to be happy. It seems to be the one great wish of the human soul in which all the others center. But desire is not enough. We must seek the happiness we wish, seek it in the wisdom which opens life's mysteries plainly to our view, which reveals our present and eternal relations and points out the ways of pleasantness and peace. Would we know the truth, the gemmy walks of knowledge, the flowery bowers of inward and joyous life, the teachings of nature, revelation, the Son, and the Father? We must seek, else how shall we find them? These things do not come of themselves. Our minds do not develop truth as the forest develops leaves or the prairie flowers, without effort. Truth is without and must be sought. Would we find the path of duty? We must seek it in earnest effort to find and enjoy. And we must seek it with a full determination to enjoy it when so found. We may seek gold, honor, worldly pleasures and not enjoy them when we find them, because we do not seek them in the right spirit, with an enlightened view of their uses and a determination to enjoy them in those uses. So we may seek gospel riches, divine light, the instructions of the word, and find much for which we seek and be but little benefited because we have not resolved to be guided by the light we find and blessed by its divine spirit. If we would be happy, then, we must seek to be happy, not without the use of proper and ordained means, not without a thorough consecration of our souls to the good of what we seek, but with a resolute will and determination in the use of all proper means to mold our spirits into the best and happiest moods. We must seek happiness in the ways in which it is to be found, in study, duty, labor, improving pleasure, with a constant inward effort to find it, to make it out of what we find. We must seek it in domestic and business life, in the relations we hold to our fellow men, in the opportunities for discipline, self-sacrifice, forgiveness, resistance of temptation, in the changes and vicissitudes of life, in nature, revelation, ourselves and God. If we thus seek, we shall find. This is the promise, and thousands have realized it. It is not a promise for the future world only, but for this also. We have the promise of this world as well as that which is to come. We need not wait for the golden gate to open to be as happy as our capacity will admit. We may be happy here. Happiness is not hid away beyond our search, nor laid above our reach, nor reserved for the spirit world. We may enjoy this life and its holy relations. Our hearts, our homes, our lives may all glow with happiness on earth. The means for it are all in our hands. The opportunities are daily open to us. In the dear amenities of home and its dulcet loves, in the elevating pleasures of society, in the instructing pursuits of science, duty, and daily life, in the cultivation of every personal virtue and every gospel grace, we may enjoy in this life a sweet antepast of heaven. Only put forth the effort in the right way and the happy result will be ours. But we must not be too dictatorial as to how we enjoy life. We must not be too positive as to the manner in which we must find happiness. We must not determine that it must come in just the way we wish, or else we will be miserable in the grief of disappointment. It is not for man wholly to direct his steps. Sometimes what he thinks for his good, turns out ill, and what he thinks a great evil, develops a great blessing in disguise. It is folly, almost madness, to be miserable because things are not as we would have them, or because we are disappointed in our plans. Many of our plans must be defeated. A multitude of little hopes must every day be crushed and now and then a great one. Besides, the success of our plans is not always essential to our best interests or our happiness. Sometimes success is our misery. Our plans are often our idols, to worship which is false and wrong. It is not in this, or that, or the other peculiar mode of life, nor in any particular class of outward circumstances, nor in any definite kind of labor, or duty, or pleasure, that we must look positively for happiness, nor yet in any chosen place or society, or surroundings, or under any particular class of influences. If we do, we shall be disappointed, for it is not in our power to have things just our way, or to control our outward or associational life just as we would. We live amid a multitude of influences we cannot altogether control. Nor is it best we should. Our vanity, or ignorance, or selfishness might do us great spiritual injury. We might soon become like spoiled children, or nerveless drones, or pampered aristocrats. What we are to control is ourselves, our minds. We must seek happiness in the right state of mind, in the legitimate labors, duties and pleasures of life, and then we shall find what we seek, yet we may often find it under very different circumstances from what we expected. We may look for it in one pursuit and find it in another, and sometimes where we expect the least we shall find the most, and where we look for the most we shall find the least. The first shall be last and the last first. We are short-sighted and fail to see the end of things. There is not a little of the misery of life comes from this disposition to have things our own way, as though we could not be happy under any circumstances, only just those we have framed to suit our minds. Circumstances are not half so essential to our happiness as most people imagine. A cabin is often the theater of more true happiness than a palace. The dunghill as often enthrones the true philosophy of life as the seats which kings occupy. Women in humble circumstances often possess richer minds, sweeter hearts, a nobler and profounder peace than those of magnificent surroundings. The disposition to make the best of life is what we want to make us happy. Those who are so willful and seemingly perverse about their outward circumstances, are often intensely affected by the merest trifles. A little thing shadows their life for days. The want of some little convenience, some personal gratification, some outward form or ornament, will blight a day's joy. They can often bear a great calamity better than a small disappointment, because they nerve themselves to meet the former and yield to the latter without an effort to resist. Molehills are magnified into mountains, and in the shadow of these mountains they sit down and weep. The very things they ought to have sometimes come unasked, and because they are not ready for them, they will not enjoy them, but rather make them the causes of misery. There is a disposition also in such minds to multiply their troubles as well as magnify them. They make troubles of many things which should really be regarded as privileges, opportunities for self-sacrifice, for culture, for improving effort. They make troubles of the ordinary allotments of life, its duties, charities, changes, unavoidable accidents, reverses and experiences. All this can be considered in no other light than morally wrong, for these common allotments and experiences were beyond all question ordained by infinite wisdom as a most healthy discipline for both the body and mind of man. All such complaining is ingratitude, practical impiety. Nearly all people have their secret repinings, their unexpressed disquietude, because things are not as they would have them, because they do not possess some fancied good, or do experience some fancied misfortune. There is a tendency in all our minds to such inward murmurings. And this is wrong, and when we indulge in it, it is wicked. We ought not to make idols of our plans. We ought not to have too great attachments to our own ideas of what we must have, to be happy. If we do, we shall be very miserable, while we believe we are very good. The trouble is, we are too selfish, too unyielding in our arrangements for life's best good. Because we cannot find happiness in our own way, we will not accept it in any way and so make ourselves miserable. I have known many very excellent people very unhappy from a kind of stubborn adherence to their settled convictions of just what they must have, how they must live and what they must do to be happy. They lose sight of the fact that God rules above them and 1,000 influences work around them, partly, at least, beyond their control. They have not determined to accept life cheerfully in whatever form it may come and seek for good, the soul's calm sunshine and heartfelt joy, under all circumstances, believing that all things work together for good to those who truly seek a divine life. He who seeks a divine life and its pleasantness and peace in the right spirit, humble, earnest, loving and cheerful, full of faith and hope, will realize that all things work together for his good. He may engage in life's duties and pleasures in the fullest confidence of this. Even his trials and disappointments will discipline his mind for noblest joys in store. They will work out good for his soul, which he will bear with him in life and through the gate of death, as his crown and treasure above. Thus far in the pursuit of this subject I have not considered happiness as possible to a cold, selfish, worldly heart. One's aims must be good, or he cannot expect inward peace. The Bible promises no peace to the wicked while he remains wicked. I am not authorized to promise any except to the righteous. Our hopes of happiness for this world and the future must be founded in inward righteousness. Now it really seems to me that nothing is more wanted among young women than a sound philosophy of life, one that they can live by and be happy in. Their duties and trials are to be great. Their influences are to strike into the hearts of the whole world. The generations to come are to be born of them. It is folly for them to expect to be happy by mere impulse. They must seek the happiness of principle. They must make happiness an object and seek it with the use of all right means. One consideration more is worthy of a moment's notice. It relates to health, both bodily and spiritual. One essential of health is cheerfulness of spirits. The weaknesses and diseases among females is most fearful. Only here and there is a healthy woman. And we attribute it in part to the great unrest and unspoken melancholy brooding in the great woman soul of the world. Few, perhaps, fully realize the fearful truth of this remark. Many a beautiful woman is pining under a gloom she seldom expresses and not more than half understands. Woman's confined life and nerve-distracting habits predispose her to reverie, meditation and morbid habits of mind and feeling. These shade her soul with gloom which slowly but surely sinks the tone of her health and shatters her constitution. Many a young woman plants the seeds of consumption in some early sorrow, and many more sink the tone of their health to a low degree by desponding reveries and half-despairing longings for something they have but half conceived in their own minds and put forth no efforts to obtain. It is a burning shame to our nation and age that our women are so impotent and sickly. We believe the best medicine for them would be one that would set them all into a hearty laugh, taken once an hour through the day. They need more sprightly activity, more exhilaration of mind and body, more sunshine and birdsong, more exuberant freshness of life and happiness. Every gloomy thought is a tax on health. Every desponding hour extracts a year's vitality from the system. A melancholy spirit is like a humor in the blood, breeding a perpetual disease. Doubts and fears are like chills and fevers, which shake and shatter the vital economy to its center. No unhappy woman can enjoy perfect health. The most vigorous constitutions will quail and sink under the weight of a desponding mind. Health. What is all the world without it? Who would sacrifice it for every earthly good? Then let young women beware how they tamper with it by giving way to or cherishing gloomy moods of mind. Seek to be peaceful, cheerful, happy, if you would be well. Their despondency of mind is equally destructive of spiritual health. It unbalances all the mental powers, gives a morbid activity to some and a kind of reversed action to others. No gloomy spirit is beautiful or harmonious. We may pity it, but we cannot admire it, scarcely love it. In God's sight its sadness is an imperfection, in many instances it is sinfulness. The piety of such a mind is of a questionable character and its virtue is liable to be tinctured with selfishness or other evils. Its judgment is improved. God loves a cheerful spirit, a happy soul. It is not only a duty we owe to ourselves, but to God, to be happy. Our efforts to subdue every desponding tendency in our minds should be as great and as constant as to master our selfish passions or animal desires. I fully believe we have the power to be happy if we will, or, at least, the most of us have. Some unfortunate minds are constitutionally down in the mouth. Poor things. They suffer a great hereditary evil. They are too hopeless, from a defect in the structure of their minds, but these are few and far between. The rule is, that we may be happy if we will. None of the common allotments and evils in life are absolute barriers in our way. A resolute will and steady purpose, with a proper time, will overcome all. Then buckle on the armor of life, O young woman, and rouse your spirit to its best efforts to lead a cheerful and useful life. Let no misfortune weigh you down, but rise above all and great will be your reward.